Hello, it's Dr. Taz here. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to talk about minority mental health. And that's a subject that can sometimes be a bit touchy for individuals, whether you're a minority or not. I'm going to bring in my friend, Dr. Jonica. Okay, I think I brought her in. Let's see if she comes in.
Hello, hello. Let me position where I can see you and you can see me.
How are you doing today, Dr. Jonica?
I am doing well, doing well. I'll be sliding back so you can see all of me. Want to make sure we got this on
Okay.
Facebook and elsewhere.
Okay.
Yes. And I thank you for just joining me on this discussion. I appreciate this. Yes.
Well, you are more than welcome.
From
I was
here.
telling them. Yes, I was telling folks as I was bringing you in that today we were going to talk about minority mental health.
Yes.
And hello, shout out to Crystal. Hello, Crystal.
Hi,
And
Crystal. Thanks for coming on. Yes. Hi.
good
Yes.
afternoon. I'm gonna let you take it, Dr. Janica.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because I know Dr. Smith and we have some answers for you, and this is what it's about today. We are here to help bring awareness because there's just not enough awareness about minority health and what causes it. Not always drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Okay, for minority mental health, and that's something I use with my children when they were going out. I would say something like, "Be careful and don't be, out there doing any drugs, sex, and rock and roll." Okay, yes. And so we don't want to make this a boom and doom situation. However, the story must tell. The story must be told. And so let's start with while coming on. Dr. Smith, have you ever had faced any type of discrimination?
Oh, I don't think that if I was honest, I don't think that I could say as a person of color that I haven't experienced discrimination. You know, whether it's when I walk into a store, whether it's at the doctor's office, whether it's on the job. As a person of color, I've experienced discrimination. So, yes.
Okay, so as a person of color, you experienced discrimination. Yes, yes. When I was a little girl coming up, trying to fix my muscles here because I want to make sure you see more than the top of my hair. But as a little girl coming up, I've had the opportunity to face discrimination in the North and in the South. Okay, so I came up, and the only people I saw who were white, who were white, were school teachers. Okay,
Mhm.
so I came up in a school with bars on the window. So can you imagine it? So that's like the first type of imprisonment. Okay, and so from there, there was the discrimination between other ethnic groups and black groups. Okay,
Mhm.
so it didn't always come from the Caucasian race, and so this is something we really need to discuss. And then I went to a rural area, and we had Indians, not
Yes.
Middle Eastern Indians, but American, Native American Indians,
Mhm.
and African American. So then I had to distinguish what was really the difference between white and other races that look white that weren't
Mhm.
white but could
That
go for
one.
white. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we are a culture and a race where we really can't go for white unless we put other on the box, and then we show at the job they're going to be like, what we got going on here? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My other discrimination could have been, I say, in the rural town, so we won't go there, okay, and whatnot. I'm older, and so I go to a primarily white institution. I did have discrimination there. I suffered discrimination because of the fact that my roommate was from Boston. Okay, so we know how it is in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm only going to say stuff that you can Google and fact check. Okay? All right, so we leave it at that. There was a disagreement and different things, but it involved my property, but someone wants to take over my property, which happens in the minority race anyway. Even though it was a refrigerator, even though it was in my dorm room and whatnot, you just never know what anyone has gone through, so therefore you should not bully anyone. And so from there, it's like a little snap here. Okay. You know, they don't know that this girl here had money, and she just doesn't tolerate a lot of stuff because it can lead from one fact to another. And I do mention mother murder, but my mother would have been classified as a registered nurse. So I'm not saying she was registered for murder because she was on the street doing illegal activity. Okay, so let's get back to this discussion here. Okay, so from there, I'm going to defend myself. I'm like 5 girls around 6 feet, but then she runs away crying. Okay, she started it. She was on alcohol, but then I'm the one who had the suite, the dormitory suite. I'm the one who comes to the room to get my items, my stuff, and my little board. You know how you used to have the boards where you can just write on?
Yeah. On the door?
Yeah, on my little squeeze board. And then I had Winnie the Pooh on that board, and a dog and something else, and it was colored black. Now, if that wasn't discriminatory, what was discriminatory? Okay? You know, I was going to the counseling center, and I had to work my way through it. So we're on this topic to let people know that if someone acts the way they act, let's think about the background. So from there, I learned a whole lot of forgiveness. If my friend Faith Crawford and Virginia Aiken are on the line, they can validate that they had saved the other person. Okay, not me, but the other person, because I was already angry, you know.
Yes.
I only had 1 or 2 friends, okay, because I had to learn how to trust someone. And that's the biggest factor when it comes to 2 cultures, 3 cultures, the factor of trust and understanding, trying to understand, okay? We're not 2 years old anymore, so we can't get into that mine, I. It's a we situation here.
Yes.
And so from there, the next story, it's always been in a workplace. I started out in accounting, banking and accounting and banking, okay? And more so a business consultant because I just can't sit behind the desk adding up stuff all the time. But anyway, it happened there. I couldn't continue to fight a case at the EEOC because yes, it went to the EEO, and that's the Employment Opportunity Commission and all that. I think I got the.
You did.
And then I didn't want to stress my baby because of discrimination from that aspect. I was the only Black female, and then there was a half Asian, half white manager, and then the other 10 people were men. But who gets laid off? Okay. Okay. So from there, I really suffered there from having values and ethics, and being Black and a woman. Okay. And by then I had to be friendly, so I had friends from all cultures. Okay, and whatnot. And then it took a while to get angry because I had anger under control. So I wasn't the one that's always snapping the head and all that, like I'm the stereotypical person, because I just didn't want anyone to be able to tell my feelings because I'm in the workplace, okay? So from there, I had several factors to lead up to one, to have this discussion. I read an article a couple of weeks ago, and the article discussed how Black Americans, we're not talking about other minorities at this point in that article, Black Americans, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I use the term African Americans, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I've already done research on a lot of this because sometimes our groups, in some case now that has Latin American culture,
Mm-hmm.
are overlooked because people are thinking we don't have the money, we don't have the education, okay? But we have all of that sometimes, okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
$3 billion or more in
Now,
America.
Dr. Jonica, excuse me, you're going in and out a little bit. I don't know if it's my system,
Okay,
but you're
can
going
everyone
in and out.
wave your hand in the air? Can you hear me
I
better?
don't, yeah, I can hear you better now. You're not going out. You're going in
Okay,
and out though.
too far
Okay.
back. Okay,
Okay.
so with that being said, let me move y'all back a little bit. Hello, Diane. So with that being said, can you hear me clearer now? Can you hear me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So with that being said, the article talked about how African Americans suffer so much in the workplace that their lifespan is decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they tend to get sicker quicker.
Yep.
And what was catching my eyes there was it wasn't diet.
Mm-hmm.
They studied this cohort, and it turned out to be the pressures and discrimination in the workplace. So we're always blaming everything on diet, exercise. Those people don't know how to save money. Okay. Yes, many people from my research, if you see it out there, financial advisors, marketing strategies to minorities. If you want to see it out there,
Mm-hmm.
the research is yes, we are a product of the environment. We can be a product of the work environment too. We are
Yeah.
constantly being discriminated. Okay, so I have a question for you, and this is a long introduction, but I
Okay.
do bring awareness. So are you aware that this is
Am I
Dr.
on?
Teresa Smith? She's a life coach. She's a doctor of leadership. And she's a doctor of many things, okay? She's written a couple of books. So she's done her research to be a doctor of leadership. Leaders
Mm-hmm.
have to really learn how to handle these situations, right? So
Yes.
Dr. Smith, what do you think about, out of all I just said, that article or anything else I've said about discrimination and how it really affects the mental health?
I think that you've hit on something, Dr. Jonica, that even though I think the literature has been looking at this for probably over a decade now, I don't think there's a lot of conversation about it in mainstream America or perhaps in the minority community. Because until I was doing some research, I really hadn't heard people talk about it in a definitive manner. But the research has shown that perceived discrimination does impact individuals' mental health, their physical well-being. So when we're talking about perceived discrimination, it could be in the workplace, it could be gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation. But what we found is that it does lead to chronic stress-related disorders, meaning that it's not I always talk about your warning systems. Something is going on, you get a warning system. Some people may call it fight or flight, but you get this feeling in your body. And, some people may say it's butterflies, but you know the feeling when you get it. It's like your heart may skip a beat, and it's like, okay. Some people may say they might be about to have an anxiety attack, but you know that feeling. Well, it's our body's reaction, hormonal, or it may even be cortisol reaction to that stress that you're enduring. And so when you override that warning system time after time after time, Well, as you live in that ecosystem or in that environment, the stress is still there. Your body is still responding to it. You are no longer in tune to what your body is feeling. So our body systems, because we're a bunch of systems here, begins to deal with that. And what could potentially happen is a person may develop high blood pressure. They may develop diabetes. They may develop sleep disorders. It could even lead to some gastrointestinal disturbances, or their eating could shift. Those are physical things. From an emotional perspective, the person could become moody. They may be prone to having outbursts now. Whereas in before, they were just, kind of, even keel, every now and then everybody gets upset. But now you may see them having more outbursts. Their outbursts may not be anger. They could be tearful. They could be tearful, crying. And you say one little word, the next thing you know, the person is crying. Again, it could be how their body is responding to the perceived discrimination. So when Dr. Jonica was saying that, these illnesses are occurring, it has nothing to do with diet, has nothing to do with your physical activity. It's how our body is internalizing this external stress. And unfortunately, a lot of individuals are experiencing this type of stress now. I think about when I was in the fourth grade, and I talk about this in many different ways, but I think it's appropriate now. There was a book, it was our health book, and I'm trying to remember how they phrased it. But I was dealing with incest, and I came home and I said to my mother, I said, I have to get my feelings out, because if I don't, it'll kill me. They didn't use the word stress, because that was some years back. I ain't gonna tell you how many years ago. They didn't use the word stress in the 70s, particularly in a health book. But however they phrased it, it resonated with me. And I knew that all the turmoil that I was dealing with from an emotional perspective had to come out in some kind of manner. It would kill me. Well, let's fast forward now several decades. We know that stress is a killer.
Yes.
We know that. So when we talk about the significance of the relationship or the correlation perhaps to discrimination and then stress, particularly in the minority communities, it's there. And we can't really deny it. We can deny it, but people are still dealing with it, are trying to figure out how do they deal with it. Because think about it, if I'm a mom and I'm dealing with perceived stress and it's impacting me physically, me emotionally, am I really providing a good nurturing environment for my children?
Right, right. How are our children seeing us fight?
Yes.
How are they seeing
And
our fights, our struggles?
yes.
Help determine their future. And so I
Mhm.
want to interject here
Mhm.
and brought up children. Um, the school system, working with the parents versus talking down to them and expecting everyone to really snap and do. And so even teachers, you, you have this defense up. We can't break through. Then we have the defense up because we
Mhm.
perceive your discrimination. And I can talk about it. I can talk about it. I only have four. That's all. Okay, so I can talk about it.
We can
Okay,
talk about it.
I can talk about it. So I remember one of my children in the eighth grade, and they said a word to my son as calling him conceited or something. Okay.
Mhm.
And I say, you don't label children and give them a
Mhm.
because it will stick with them. So I
Mhm.
requested a meeting and I said, and invite the principal.
Mhm.
Okay. And so we had our topic and stuff, and I was calm, cool, and collected because this turned out to be my fourth child. So by then, I learned how to get my feelings. And by the way, I was with the Wake County PTA Council and liaison to the organization between that and the school. So I've done my homework. went to the National PTA, so I can talk about it. You think I can talk about this? Okay, and so from there, we got some issues resolved. The teacher and my son, they still communicate. She keeps up with him and all that. And then they kept up with me because they realized that, hey, she's going to be at the school and she's an advocate for teachers and her children. So, to make the long story short, principal thought they invited him because the irate parent was coming out. And I was like, no, principal, I invited you because you need to learn how to deal with this. And he's a great principal. Okay, yes, Principal Solomon. Oh. And so from there, teaching us, reaching out to minorities, letting them know that you care and you're not going to discriminate would help. And then we, as minorities, learn that some people just don't know better. That would help to reduce the stress. Okay, so I'm only an introvert, no extrovert, that's all. Okay, so I had to learn how to go to that factor. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay, and that helps to bring down the barometer some, right? So that, hey, I won't be a stressed out mama who's not going to be around grandma to have grandchildren and stuff like that. So getting back to you, Dr. Teresa, getting back to what you're saying, you in the 4th grade, you're a bully, you already went through incest, okay? Then something else happened. Wait, we can't say it's from that, but I've been reading, learning how chlorine affects the thyroid, stress affects thyroids, and from what I gathered, everyone has hormones, okay? Hormones, even the men.
Hormones.
Okay.
Testosterone.
Testosterone and stuff. So we go through the different stages in life. But once our hormones are out of sync, out of balance, it's going to bring on other issues. So that stress from the workplace may lead to hormonal issues that affect the thyroid. And not only that, we're breathing in pollutants and all that. So once the rubber band is stretched, what in the world is someone supposed to do if they don't believe in prayer, what some people call meditation, if they don't believe in exercising, and they leave one stressful workplace, they go back to another stressful area where bullets may be flying over the head, no matter what neighborhood you're living in now, that could be happening. What is a person supposed to do? So, Dr. Teresa, tell some more of your story.
Well, as you were talking about your 4, I thought about when I was in 9th grade. And that was junior high school at the time that I was in 9th grade. And I was thinking about when my mother went to open house and we went to visit my geometry teacher. 9th grade? I gotta think. No, let me back that up. I must have been in 10th grade because I was at the high school because I'm visualizing the building. And she went for open house. And I told her about actually being bullied and the fact that the teacher was doing nothing. And so when she went to that particular teacher's classroom, she mentioned it. And what she said was that she was going to, if it didn't stop, she was going to contact the state superintendent. And she called the gentleman's name who was the state superintendent at the time. Well, it stopped. But it should not have had to take that. It shouldn't have had to take that my mother had to come and say to that teacher, and I remember her name, I'm just not going to say her name, and I know the person that was bullying me. It shouldn't have had to come to that. She was fully aware of it, obviously, because I don't think I told my mother the student's name, but the sounds and the things that the person was doing, it didn't happen again. So that meant for me as a child, looking back now as an adult, you as the teacher was fully aware of what was going on in your classroom, but you chose not to intervene for whatever reason. Perhaps the expectation was, given my last name, that I wasn't going to amount to much. If we go with stereotypes, there's always a differential between what the students' expectations of what their future is, what the educator's expectation is, and then what the parents' expectation is. There is a difference. So perhaps she didn't have any real expectations for me. I was in geometry. So it wasn't like, I wasn't an academically gifted student, but she chose not to intervene. Now, the person was of a different race. They were a different gender, too. So I don't know why she chose, but my mother came to open house. So maybe that was a shocker, first of all, that my mother would be at open house. Because to me, it's second nature because my parents always went to open house. That's just the environment that I grew up in. They always went. If my mom didn't go, my dad went. And sometimes they'd go together. So that was just second nature for me, for my parents to go. But I think about those parents who, for whatever reason, perhaps they're not able to go. And then schools may unfortunately interpret that the parent is not interested in their child's well-being. And that's not the case. And given one thing that COVID has done that I think that perhaps some schools are doing across the country, I'm not sure, but it really can change the dynamics of quote unquote open house or parent teacher meetings, because now we can do that in a virtual environment. So think about it. For those parents who can't be off their job for whatever reason, or their work hours are contrary to when you're doing open house, if we use Zoom or Google Hangouts or all the other different mediums, we could use those in order for parents to meet with the teachers and demonstrate that they are actually vested, and I shouldn't use the word demonstrate, but unfortunately you have to show folks that you're vested in your children's well-being. Because for me, when we talk about discrimination, I think the student was just being a student and picking or bullying someone. But the teacher, I think, was perhaps unintentionally discriminating.
Unintentionally discriminating.
Unintentionally, because we were two different races. But she didn't intervene until my mom came and said if it doesn't stop, she was going to contact the state superintendent and gave the name. And I think that's probably what shook her up, that my mother knew the name of the state superintendent.
Right.
But she knew because she was an involved parent.
Right. How do you become an involved parent? How do you become involved in the workplace to, say, be a whistleblower when you face discrimination? How do we do these things? And one of the things to help us to handle is find ways to reduce stress. For those of you who are coming on, I am Dr. Rowland, and I focus on social impact, leadership, entrepreneurship, okay? And that's my doctoring business. I'm your doctor to be in your business, okay? And I was a professional community volunteer, okay? I did go the route as some traditional parents have done of other cultures where I put my career on the back burner. So they always saw me working, but I was at home as much as I could be, and I was at school as I could be. Okay, and let's see, the last few jobs I had left, I wasn't laid off. They did request I come back. Ooh, even a couple of years ago. Okay, so my thing is not one of those hotheads, right? But this topic need to come up. Okay, it need to be discussed. Then we have Dr. Teresa Smith, and I want y'all to see my Facebook camera up here, and so our Facebook crowd. meet Dr. Smith. And Dr. Smith, tell them a little bit about yourself. Yes.
Oh, well, Dr. Jonica,
Yeah.
I'm just you panning around. I'm seeing this wonderful room that you're in, and I'm looking at those beautiful cars and trucks that are outside.
Yes, I want
And
to see the Facebook camera. Okay.
oh, I see it now. Dr. Jonica is so good. I see the Facebook camera. Hi, guys on Facebook. She is so good. I am not that good with the technology. You see how she just panning around, letting people see and everything? I'm stationary. I'm stationary. But, my focus really is all about personal development, social development, becoming the best person that you can be. My life's work really has been around that, and as I've started thinking about what I've done throughout my career, it's always centered around whether I was working in education, medicine, working with individuals with disabilities or challenges, or working even at the higher ed, it's always been around personal development and accepting people for who they are. And I think, Jonica, as I make the statement, I think it springs from, the challenges that I had as a child and wanting to be accepted as a child into young adulthood, wanting to be accepted for who I am. And, as a book author, I've authored 3 books of my own. All of them have the same theme: evolving into your best self, regardless of circumstances and discrimination, perceived discrimination, and I'm going to have to throw this in because that's just who I am. Discrimination is not always from other races.
Right.
Discrimination can be from someone of your own race. If I'm talking gender identity, it could be someone who relates to the same gender. So it can be so many different things. And so never think, for me, that I only think Caucasian, African American. No. It could be it's socioeconomic level. It's so many different things. It could be, I belong to this denomination, you belong to that denomination, if I was talking faith. It is so intricate, and it's a part of who we are because we all belong to so many subgroups. The thing is, we have to become more aware of our behavior. But awareness is just one piece of it. Once you are aware, what are you going to do? We understand that there's systemic issues in our country, in our workplaces that perpetuate certain standards. But you have to determine whether you're going to perpetuate those standards or you want to improve the workplace or whatever place it is that the discrimination may be happening. Because ultimately, how can I say it? We've got one world that we're living in. Well, some folks who may live in a different world, but I'm a few years older than those folks. So I probably won't be around when this new world is here. So we've only got one world. And the most important thing, as I was thinking about life this morning, is living it to its fullest. And when you've got things that are bringing you down emotionally, this morning I was thinking about, we've got this one world and we need to live life to the fullest. Live it to the fullest. And the only way we live it to the fullest is, from my perspective, guys, accept what is, determine what you can change. And I'm because I'm a coach, so I'm really up in your face because I don't believe in the victim. I don't believe in that victim role. So the thing is that, determine what your circumstances are, determine what you're going to change, what you're not going to change, then you've made a decision. So you need to live with that. But then don't let whatever it is prevent you from living, because life is just too short now. You need to accept whatever you've decided you're going to deal with and live your life. Don't bemoan it, meaning don't whine, because whining is still doing something to you on the inside. And we're talking about stress. and how stress kills you. I said to someone, I think on Thursday, I said, oh, I'm going to get you some. I said, I'm not going to give you a deadline, though. I said, because a lot of people having heart attacks right now. And I meant that. There are a lot of people having heart attacks. And I often think about when I was a little girl, people would have a heart attack or a stroke. They came home and they were much older people. Now people my age and younger, they're having heart attacks and strokes and they die. So my thing is I'm not going to put undue stress on myself because it's not hurting anybody but me. And I have to be aware of what it's doing to me on the inside. And then what that legacy is that I'm leaving for others. You know, whether it's my nieces or my nephews, because I don't have children, my nieces or my nephews, or just people who see me working. What legacy, what standard am I sharing with them based upon what they're observing that I'm saying is okay? And we have to think about that. The children are listening. The children are watching what we're doing. And we have to be mindful. So my thing is, if I don't want to get help for myself, I need to get help for my legacy, whomever those are. I need to get help for them because I'm showing them what life can be. But I want to show them the good part of life, meaning that I've made some good decisions, not just working all the time and working myself into an early grave, as folks used to say.
And if you're going to work all the time, work happy. So
Ain't
we
that the truth?
about right now, the
Yes.
way we are going to handle stress. And Dr. Smith just said that she's not going to put any undue stress on herself. I realize that I'm not going to put any undue stress on myself. So my thing is, if I get enough sleep, I go to work, I learn to see things from two sides, okay? Whether I'm having inter-racism, okay? That's discrimination from someone within my race. I'm realizing, well, maybe they had a rough day. We have to start playing some scenarios in our brain. Maybe they came from an upper class family. Maybe they were the only child. Maybe they had success. Maybe,
Yes.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if I pop pop the lid, little
Yes.
lid,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to me to go home and think about, ooh, how am I going to handle this better when a Caucasian woman say, ooh, you need to straighten your hair. Okay? There's always this hair thing. There's always been some talking about some hair. Okay? We won't even go back in the news about talking
Mm-hmm.
hair. I
Yeah.
ain't gonna slap you if you talk about my hair, because I'm comfortable. But anyway, getting back to looking at it from another perspective, whether it be me being discriminated from within my race, whether it's I'm being discriminated from another race, okay? What am I going to do to stay calm, cool, collective, think this thing through, because I don't want my blood pressure raised. Now, if I've been sleeping, if I've exercised, if I learn to, and forget about the food pyramid, okay, because that might not be made for minorities, okay? If I learn to eat the way my body wants me to eat, okay? If I built up my confidence level enough where you can speak to anyone, so I think my confidence level is built up, okay? Because I can speak to anyone, okay? If I worked on this inner development, if I worked on not just being aware, but having a proper mindset, I would know when to report the individual, okay? Because if it's happened more than once or twice, get your release the right way. And it's
Yeah.
called going up the hierarchy, whether it's your children in school,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a police officer discriminating against you, be calm enough to believe that There are systems in place. They're not perfect, but we can make them work, okay? But if I'm allowing myself to be stressed and I have to pop 2 6-packs every weekend, I'm not talking about anyone. You drink a whole bottle of wine in your business. Eat 2 cakes, a container of ice cream, watch all the battles in the world. Okay. Well, I might need to be doing some push-ups.
Yes. Yes.
Block so that I give my body, and I won't say chance, a fighting opportunity. And that's legacy. When we're around to see some things through, pass it to the next generation so that they won't have to go through what we went through. They may go through something, okay? So let me give you, I have to serve the innocent, okay? So a gentleman working around 100 people, and they're the only minority. And then someone tells them to tell their story. Tell your story. Tell how you were raised by a single parent and how it was rough. And then the individual will say, well, I got to give my dad some props. Because he was around. So having the guts to say something like that instead of sitting back, what they mean, they don't know me, you know, right? So it's up to you to let them know you. So reducing stress, okay? Clean water, some water chlorinated. Look at the record of your water treatment plant. Boil the water, do something. I'm not saying we're gonna drink out of them little bottles of water. Buy you some jugs, put a water purifier on your sink, okay? Because these chemicals, our diet, being low on sleep, not knowing what's gonna happen when you walk out your door. You know, you can live in Manhattan, New York, and you don't know what's happening. You can live in a nice, clean mansion, upstairs, downstairs, plush carpet. But when you walk out that door, you better be aware. And so we want you to be aware of health because our health impacts our mental well-being. We all have the same, not the same brain, but our brains about the same. When someone passed away, they can't tell if that was a white person brain or a black person brain. Now they might be able to tell if someone had a brain, the brain of those who had Alzheimer's and dementia, stuff like that, and stuff. Okay, so let's do what we can to reduce stress, so that we can help us better to be around for the generation, because that workplace discrimination can really affect someone. People seeing people get shot, okay, that can really affect someone. And someone being abused, that can really affect someone. And so, hello. And so the thing is, it is important, write down and do a replay on certain situations that have affected you so that maybe you can see it from another angle. And if it happens again, you already have a mechanism in place to make sure that you keep your calm, you keep your peace. My friend Benita Jones says she guards her peace. I got permission to say, but you keep your peace so that your family can see you living to 80, 90 years old in good health. Okay? Take my license when I'm 90. I don't care. I hopefully someone will be driving me around when I'm in my 80s. But I want the ability to be able to do that by having a peace of mind and being able to shake a leg, shake a leg.
Yes.
Okay? Those are some ways to reduce stress. Sleep, exercise, and I'm not talking about extreme exercise all the time, because that could affect your cortisols, TRTISOL. So I'm not saying we're going to go from 1 point and then to the next point in extreme, and then the next thing you know, you're putting undue pressure on your heart, your joints, your body. We want this thing to be around, okay? So that we want to be around. We want our limbs to be around. We want our bodies to be around so that we can move forward and be around again, whether you have children or not. Their nieces, nephews, and other people's children. Okay, I like to think me being up in the schools help other people's children. So now let's get to the discussion. We won't do side comments, but if you have any questions, okay, because we only answer questions, we won't do side comments because this is going to be recorded and we don't know if it's going to just be on social media. But if you have any questions, just let us know. So are there any other ways you think for adults to reduce stress in the workplace? Because a lot of times people, they have to take that stress and keep it on the inside so that they can get up to the corporate ladder, which in some cases, it won't matter if you're not paying attention to salaries, okay? So we're not saying don't be you, okay? But we are saying that if you are being discriminated in the workplace or anywhere else, and it's extreme, you need to report it. If it's a constant battle, bullying is illegal too now, okay? All right, you know, and stuff. Because if someone's getting too close, you know, something else might lead up to something, okay? So there's still called harassment. Harassment don't mean you have to be touched, okay? So you'll go to your workplace and you'll start looking at their protocols for harassment. And then there's also the gender discrimination. Of course, there's the Me Too movement. No one has any reason to be touching your parts. Okay? Like on the street and get your tongue out at you, anything like that. It's all up to us to stop the madness, okay? Because the madness exists. We can blame what we want to blame. We don't have an insurrection here in the United States of America. So we know the madness exists. So it's up to us to work on our brains so that we can stop some of madness. Do our part, okay? So that our children will know how to stop the madness. Our children would know how to report things instead of trying to handle every situation right on the spot because we don't know who's packing and we don't know who's firing at the job. Okay? You create a paper trail for them, a paper trail on you, for you, and that paper trail needs to be about how you're going to handle certain situations because it is going to happen. Okay, it's going to happen. Okay, we pray 50 times and say it ain't happening, it ain't real. Okay, but we can just build ourselves up so that when it happens, we don't have that stroke, we don't have that heart attack, we don't have irritable bowel syndromes, we don't have the ulcers. Okay, we don't have the undue stress on our bodies. Right? So that's what we need to do to help impact our mental health. Okay? Be aware, but take action. We're going to be aware, take action. Say it with me. Be aware,
to take action.
Action. Okay? That's what we have to do. Every fight is not a fight. We don't win every battle, but if it doesn't break us, we let it make us. So is there anything else you would like to add to what we're going to do to reduce the stress and how we're going to handle situations?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, Dr. Jonica, that everything is a learning opportunity. And it is up to us to take advantage of that opportunity. So when discrimination is occurring, or perceived discrimination, and it may be perceived until it's proven to be true discrimination, meaning I'm perceiving it, but then you're showing me that my perceptions are correct. But it's a learning opportunity. And so for me, I'm always trying to respect the other person's culture, and I'm trying to learn their culture. And so it never hurts to ask questions. You may have to figure out how to phrase the questions, but ask questions, because sometimes a person, it could be me, I've done something, but I'm doing it unintentionally because I don't realize something is perceived differently by you. And by you could be another Black person, okay? So it's not always external to my race. It could be within my race, because people are socialized differently. And so being able to ask the question, and it takes courage, because you never know what the other person's response is going to be. So as I said, taking everything as a learning opportunity, respecting the person's culture, which means getting to know their culture. Knowing my culture as a African American is not assuming that I like fatback.
Yeah, cornbread and fatback and
That I like fatback. I don't eat fatback. You don't assume, I'm gonna use a phrase that my mother used. She calls it that fat meat. Don't assume that I grew up eating fat meat or having food that was seasoned with fat meat. I didn't. So that may be true for some people, and that's okay. But don't stereotype or generalize that to the whole population, because that's not the case. That's not what I grew up eating. My mother seasoned food with mazola oil. So I do likewise, except, I use olive and grapeseed, because I eat healthy, Todd's in the kitchen, so I eat healthy. But my point is, again, get to know me. Don't assume this was my environment. It's not my environment. But when you perceive me one way, you treat me the way you perceive me. Perhaps if we got to know each other, we could develop honest relationships where people are not being tolerated. As Mike Murdoch says, how does Mike say it? Go where you are celebrated and not tolerated. And I heard that about 20 years ago now, because time goes so fast. But Mike Murdoch was very true to what he was saying. Dr. Mike Murdoch, let me say that correctly. Dr. Mike Murdoch out of Texas. He was correct. Go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. But you don't know if you're being tolerated until you give yourself and the individual an opportunity to truly develop a relationship that goes learning, respecting that person's culture, asking the questions, and then when we talk about the healing, because again, we talk about healing, but nowadays we need to look at it from a recovery, the mental minority mental illness concerns, or just something that you feel about people on your job or people that you're in relationships with. It's about recovery. It's about the well-being, meaning that you can't always resolve everything, but you can resolve what can be resolved. And you can actively work to be in a space where your emotional well-being is healthy.
And that's the
and
thing.
sometimes
In the
that's
space.
it. That's right. You're right. Because sometimes that's all that you can do is get to that space. But that's a mind thing, and it's a heart thing, and they have to work together in order for it to occur, and to occur routinely, meaning to the point where it just happens. You don't even think about it. It's just happening. But that's really all about taking care of you. And that's my sign off, take care of you. That's what it's all about, taking care of you. So for me, when we're looking at how do you manage this mental the recovery component of minority mental health. Now, of course, there are going to be individuals who actually need to see, because I can't not say this, who need to see therapists, counselors, They may need medication. They may be under their medical doctors of care. There are individuals, I know we've been talking about perceived discrimination and its relationship to stress. But again, once you start having emotional or physical conditions that are arising, it may take a myriad of individuals to help you with becoming healthy on the road to recovery and positive well-being. Well, embrace that. Don't shy away from it. You know, I know the statistics, I know the disparity numbers as it relates to African Americans. I know not getting proper care, not having individuals who are culturally responsive. I understand all of that, but you advocate for yourself, because when Dr. Jonica was talking about what you do with discrimination in the workplace, you're advocating for yourself. You advocate with your doctors also. You advocate with your mental health providers. You advocate, and if those individuals are not hearing you, or you don't perceive that you're getting better, then get someone else. It's your right. Just because I start with somebody doesn't mean I got to end with them. I have a right to heal the way that I need to heal, to recover, to become the best person that I can be. So again, even with that, it's learning. And we're always learning. So always take every opportunity as that learning, because we're lifelong learners, so that you can grow. And I go back to legacy, because again, the children are watching and they're listening. So that you're teaching them that it's okay to get help when help is needed. So that you're taking care of you and you're taking care of them at the same time.
So it's so important for us to take care of ourselves. We have to. One door isn't working, go to another door. Some doors are closed because you need to get to the next door. And so, talking about legacy, September the 10th now, I am hosting our self-care, yes, and legacy planning workshop. September is Self-Care Awareness Month, and Dr. Taz, T.A. our keynote speaker, and yours truly. I'll be facilitating and being around, And the reason I'm working on these legacy planning workshops is because the Bible says, no matter what religion you are in, lack of knowledge, okay?
Yes.
Professional lack of knowledge. And we need to bring that knowledge to the table. We need to learn the best tools for self-care, okay? We need to know how to make steps. We need to plan how we're going to make the next steps. Plan how to be healthier, okay? Plan on how to live long, and tell our money what to do. All of this takes some planning, all right? And getting back to this mental health awareness among minorities, let's encourage each other, okay?
Yeah.
I've seen situations where I just might want to talk. Lord, Betty Joe was going through that too. Oh, yeah, and stuff. I don't need to hear about no one else's situation when I'm trying to talk about mine. If
Yeah.
someone calls you, they don't need to hear everyone else's situation. They need to know how it's coming, how things are going along with you. So proper communication will help reduce some of the mental challenges. Now, there's a research out there. I think he's doctor now. Okay, Dr. Williams now. And I have to get his name. Okay, because we're getting back to that. A lot of people did not that workplace discrimination is really deteriorating minority health. Okay? A lot of people did not know that everyone don't have the same opportunity. Okay, so don't go there. I made it, you can make it. Everyone did not have the same opportunity. Okay? And so one big thing we have to do is forgiveness. That's going to work on reducing some stress. So if I can forgive myself, I'll learn to forgive others. And I'll learn what battles to fight and what battles not to fight. Okay? But his research was talking about PTSD being created or developed among African American men in the workplace. And I'm just going to say black. Everyone, you know, they have their different, but black men, okay, it could be light-skinned person, but if they're black, okay, and PTSD being created by the stress of the workplace among African American men. Now, I've been married over 30 years, and I think I can truly relate to that. Okay. So, learning and doing research, as Dr. Todd's TAS and I like to say, it is so important to learn that if you have a situation, let's do the research, let's have the communication, okay? Because some people are checking out, but some people are still living beyond stroke, heart attacks, diabetes, car accidents, fights, all right? But then they may not be living their best life in retirement. We keep saying, I just can't wait until I retire. Well, what are we going to do to retire healthy? Okay, I always have to go back to that. I always have to go back to that. And so if we do not tolerate certain things and we handle it up front, we keep it from being a snowball effect. A snowball effect. Okay? Snowball effect.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
So instead of always worrying about how we look, okay, because no matter what, someone's going to be disappointed with something. So if you're that disappointed, go ahead and get some nose job. If you want to get your butt cheek job, do it because you want to do it for you, not because you want to look for someone, you know, look like someone else. Okay? Instead of so I'm getting to priority. Yes. What are your priorities? Your priority should be how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to raise my family, how I'm going to live long. I want to live long. That's my priority. So how I'm going to do it in a healthy way. Okay. Then once I have that balance and I have money in the bank like I need to, okay, and my emergency fund and then retirement savings and different things, maybe I can splurge more. Now, you are going to have to do a little bit of something to make you happy, okay? But don't spend all your check and then you're living from paycheck to paycheck, okay? If you're not a business owner, you don't need to be struggling. And then don't be jealous of business owners, because entrepreneurship, there's a roller coaster ride, okay? And stuff. So don't envy, don't cover, okay? Because we don't know what people have done to get where they are. Don't know, okay? So it is so important, and this truly has inspired me, who are on, Dr. Teresa Smith, and all of you out there. And I promise to get my books out. I am an author too, but I promise to get my books out there.
I'm gonna work on her.
I've rested up. Can't go on no sabbatical. I've been on semi-sabbatical for 4 years, and I had to work on grief and stress, and I knew if it was to be, it was up to me. Okay, all right. So I'm pointing my fingers. I got mine coming back to me because I'm still a work in progress. But what are you doing? Okay, I'm gonna put this one down because you know you got the gun away. This one down like that.
Yes.
But what are you doing to work on you?
Yeah. What are you doing?
And I'm working on me, and we're gonna talk about it. But if we can't take our conversation, so we might have to get permission. You mind if I talk about this? You know, you gonna keep it confidential. Well, if you get out there, I know it came from because I ain't tell too many people about it anyway, you know, and stuff. But think about that. And when you're in the workplace, when you're in the store, when you're anywhere, just be aware, okay? If you're having a rough day before you leave the home, you want to take some deep breathing exercise, maybe do some jumping jacks, do something to pump up that brain. Can't always be a cup of caffeine. And then when you're out there, instead of snapping, okay, everyone snaps from every culture. Something makes someone snap unless they're on something and pop the pill or something. But anyway, be aware of your attitude before getting on that street. Because we don't know what the other person's been through. Yeah. And there's some madness out there, and we don't want to be dodging bullets because we want to wear. Okay, my husband, he helped me a lot in that area. Okay, so when you leave the workplace or you leave the stressful environment, check yourself before going home. Okay, because you don't know if people in the house had a bad day too, and then you're gonna bring that in the front door. That's supposed to be your domain, your abode, your habitat, your place of safety. So don't bring the junk. Okay? So I am married to a black man. I'm not discriminating if somebody's married outside their race. My husband come home, if he's quiet, I'm gonna let him quiet. Okay? I'm gonna let him be. I'm gonna let him jump in that shower. I'm gonna let him press that remote. Because I don't know what type of day he had. And I'm gonna let him make decisions. Okay? Because he's done been bossed around. So that's just. Now later on the weekend, I may get our conversations in, or if it's something about raising the children. But I'm just not going to dump everything, and if I do, it's not going to be a dump. It needs to come out the right way. Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So it has to be a balance when you're going out the door, a balance when you come in the door. Okay? You know, say some doors swing both ways. I guess they all ways.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a door swinging. Yeah. Okay, so we can talk about this until they used to say blue in the face. I don't think Dr. Tom I'll be blue in the face. Maybe I'll look okay and whatnot. But we want you to know that your brain tells the other parts of your body what your brain, this right here is on somewhere, okay? It goes on down, tells the blood where it flows, helping that heart to pump, boom, boom. Even the heart has to have clean blood going out, bad blood going in, cycles all that. It works down a vertebrae, right? Y'all know that song. Neck bone, head bone connected to the neck bone connected to the all of this is connected, and a lot of it cannot function if the brain is not what it needs to do. All right, they checking reflex in the doctor's office. It's not just see if that nerve is working, because the brain, the nervous system, all of that stuff is connected. It's just so important to take care of it. Well, I want to be quiet, but we do want you to come September 10th here in Raleigh, North Carolina, at one of our facilities through Raleigh Founded. We want you to come and celebrate with us. Celebrate. It's always a celebration. Self-care, legacy planning. You got to do it. A couple of weeks, I'll be working on some more self-care stuff for you all. But the thing is, if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it for you. All right? It don't make no sense when we old and we still don't like certain vegetables. You got to learn to season them the way you need it. I can't get this meme out of my head.
Yeah. It's a mind thing about those vegetables.
What you say?
I said it's a mind thing about those vegetables.
That's what I'm talking about. Eat a lot.
Yeah.
That okra was the only thing here on earth. I'm gonna figure it out.
And I love okra.
See, you like fried or
people gonna get me. I like them chopped because that's what my mother used to that's how she always cooked them. That's what I grew up eating. And I know about the slime. But I like them chopped, I like them whole steamed, and I like them fried, but I eat so little fried okra because I'd have to go out to get them because I don't fry okra. And I also like them roasted. I've started chopping them and roasting them in the oven. And I think my roasted ones, they remind me of what you get at Golden Corral. Because I did that last summer, I think it was, and I called my dad because he'd give me some okra. And I was like, I think these are like the ones at Golden Corral. And I roasted them. They were not battered, and they were excellent. So it's a mind thing.
Like black eyed peas and beans and stuff, those things are good, especially for those who call themselves vegetarians.
Yes.
But anyway, don't say you're vegetarian, you eating out a bunch of cans. Okay, you can still say it, but you gotta be a healthy vegetarian. No matter what diet we have to be healthy. Because again, it affects what?
The brain and in the heart. And the whole body.
Let me see, Dr. Teresa.
He said the whole body. He's trying to see if I have any coordination. And let me tell you guys, not a lot of coordination.
No,
not a lot of coordination.
We want to be the voice for you. We didn't bring it other than the headbone connected to the shoulder bone. Is there a closeout song? And is there anything you'd like to say about September 10th? Any final closing about mental health, reducing stress, taking care of yourself, doing reenactment? So next time something happens, this is what you're going to do.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my closing thing is this, and I got this from Dr. Jonica. Now, sometimes I may not say I got it from Dr. Jonica, but she said something last week that I shared with somebody. Oh, I shared it with someone the other day. You said to me that it has to be relevant.
Relevant.
And I know that sounds real simple, guys. And I know it sounds simple. And it's a concept that you're going to have to get. It's going to have to get in your brain and then go down through your body and get in your heart. And there are going to be days that it's just not going to work. But she said to me, in essence, that she uses irrelevance. She uses that as a criteria to determine whether she's going to engage with something. My way of explaining it to you. If it's not relevant, she doesn't engage. So if you can use that as your compass, is it relevant? No. If it's not relevant, move on. If it's relevant, how relevant is it? At what level of relevance? Because once you determine what she's showing us, the room that she's in, she's also showing us the folks on Facebook. Once you determine what level of relevance it is, then you determine how you're going to engage. Because determining the level of relevance helps you to determine what outcome you're looking for. And once you determine that, you know how to engage. As Jean-Luc Picard would say, because I'm a Trekkie, engage. So, engage. So here we are talking about minority mental health. We've been talking about legacy planning, and we're moving into self-care month. So we're going to be talking about September the 10th. How do you roll all this together? And what does it mean? How does it impact legacy? What is a legacy? Who are my legacies? What does this have to do with me now? And what does it have to do with my future? So I invite you to join us on September the 10th. Follow me, follow Dr. Jonica, because she's all in your business. And you're going to see all the information posted. But it's so important, and we have to start somewhere. And nuggets are always being dropped on us, because when she dropped relevance last week, she dropped a nugget on me. And I haven't forgotten it. I told her then it was important. But it's gotten more important as the week has unfolded. Because there's been a lot of things that have happened. Some of them were not relevant. Some of them I had to sit with for a moment. And even after I realized it wasn't relevant, I had to detox. What do I mean by detox? I had to get it out of my body, out of my mind, out of my cells, because it was still wanting to impact me. And it was not going to have that sort of power over me. Because it really wasn't relevant. It wasn't relevant. If it had some relevance, then I determine how much I'm going to engage. because no one is going to have control over me but me. So my mental health is very important to that. So for me, I'm looking forward to folks who are going to join us on September the 10th. We're going to be talking personal development, personal growth, resiliency, legacy planning. How do we make all this stuff work and where do we go from here? That's what we're going to be talking about because it's so important because we've been dropping nuggets, but how do you put all this together into a package? And now what does this package do for me? That's what we're going to be talking about because the package that we're putting together is not really for you. It's for those who are going to come after you. It's for those that you've been working for, those that you're serving as a role model to. The package is for them. Yeah, what is she talking about? But it is. The package is for them. The way the package is for you right now is for you to live your life and enjoy your life. That's what you get out of it. But the package is for them. So join us in understanding what the package is and how you can have both. The package for them and live your life to the fullest right now. And, before we sign off, because my sign off is take care of you, I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Jonica to see if there's anything else that she wants to say before we sign off today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I appreciate this, and I appreciate you just being here with me today, Dr. Teresa. And I'm calling her the visionary because I did not have to say so many words for her to catch on to. I would say a God-given vision. Yes, Dr. Teresa Smith, Doctor of Leadership, life coach, and a bunch of other things. Follow her on her YouTube, Dr. TAS.
That's
Yeah.
it, Dr. TAS.
And I'm Dr. Rowland, your doctor who wants to be in business. I thought I was going to be a spine sociologist, but I couldn't agree with all those philosophies and theories and whatnot. So I'm bringing it all together. I've seen from lived experiences, my experiences, and some experience some of the other people have shown me, okay? Because that's how we're going to learn. We don't always have to reinvent the wheel. And if we stop taking time to reinvent the wheel, we can really work on our full purpose, the package, the legacy for the end. But taking care of you now leads to that package, leads to a healthy lifestyle, leads to good retirement. I may help you sell the 7 C's. Whatever your dream is, your dream. Don't let anyone take it away. So I just want you to believe in yourself, forgive yourself if you missed anything, and then you'll learn to believe in the person you're supposed to be with, as well as to forgive and move on, and hopefully we'll stop destroying healthy relationships. And our family is looking at us, our family is looking at us, our children, our neighbors, all looking at us, okay? And you are looking at yourself, because if you keep replaying the mistakes, you can't move forward. And that's what we're about. Moving forward.
Moving forward.
Right. So we'll be quiet from here now, Dr. Teresa. I ain't have any other songs coming up. Other than one song I keep in my head. I believe it's Dr. Kevin. He likes to play it. Don't stop believing.
I don't know the words to it, but don't stop believing. And I can hear it. Da, 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 da. And what came to my mind was the second time around. I don't know why. But second time around, we'll make it better the second time around. Okay. And, that's with Shalimar. That's what I was hearing. Second time around, will we need the better than the first time? I'm butchering the lyrics, guys, but that's okay. Second time around, you make it better.
And legacy.
That's it. That's what I thought. Second time around.
Intentional.
Yes. Second time around. And don't stop believing. Because your dreams can drive you when nothing else will. So don't give up your dreams for anyone or for anything, guys.
And be intentional. Be intentional. I can't
Intentional.
think of,
Yes,
I can't get his name right now, but be intentional. Mhm.
yes. Be intentional and be mindful about everything that you do also. You know, that's another way of saying being intentional, but be mindful because everything, your words have power. They speak, you're speaking life into things. So be very intentional, be very mindful of everything that you do and be respectful. Even if you feel that folks are not respecting you, always be respectful. Taking the high road does pay off. It may take some time, but it does pay off. So, Dr. Jonica, are we done for today anyway?
The song came up. So be intentional. I'll play it
Okay.
later.
Okay, because I'm still trying to grab, because I love music. And now you got me, now I'm hearing Mary J. Blige, I love music. I guess fine, 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 fine. I think that's how she starts that off, I love music. So it's going to be fine, 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 guys.
Erica Campbell, all of them. They got some, man. Kia Shears. Don't get me started. Don't get me.
Yeah, because we started talking about music and on artists. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 'cause I love my music, so we be on here talking about music. But as we come to a close, guys, music is can be food, like laughter can soothe the body. Music can also do that. So lots of times folks will tap into music when they're experiencing stress or anxiety. There's nothing wrong with that. Laughter and music is really good for our bodies. So,
Good for our
as,
bodies.
yes, and as I would say to you, thank you so much for joining Dr. Jonica Rowland, MBA, who wants to be in your business, and she in your business. And thanks for joining me, also Dr. Taz here. We do so much appreciate the time that you spent with us today, and we'll be back to talk with you, I'm sure, at some other time about our upcoming event. But as always, remember, take care of you because you cannot take care of anybody else unless you take care of you. Bye now.
Give us 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Okay.
Then we're in. Working for my good. Yeah. She's intentional. Never failing. I know that I'm the mic now.
For my good,
She's intentional. Never failing.
he's working for my good.
Intentional.
Never failing. My good, intentional, never failing. For my good.
So you have to believe it. All things
Yeah.
are working for your good. If God is intentional, we are intentional. When we plant a seed, we expect that tree to grow.
Yes.
So take all them seeds that have been imparted to you and grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jonica. Thank you, guys. Take good care. Bye now. Let me see you a hug too. Bye now.